Hello and welcome back to her work life wellness sessions. I am so excited to have you here. Drop some hearts in the chat to show some love because this is the platform for balanced professional women who want to enjoy their life, want to feel excited again for all their professional work and not just work themselves down to the ground, but actually feel excited about life, start to get really just energized about the life they're living instead of just in survival mode all the time. This is not about overworking yourself, it's not about trying to be a productive bro, or it has nothing to do with heavy scientific things trying to understand the brain. It's all about common sense, and it's all about using strategies that make sense for women who want to change their lives right away. So, very down to earth, very much approachable for women who just want to feel good and feel excited. So, this is the show for women who want to feel excited about life, want to have more balance. And if that's you, I'm so excited to have you here. Today's topic is a treat. So if that's you, make sure you stay tuned for the show. So, as I like to get started, I do like to get started with some grounding work because whether you're coming back from work, maybe at work tomorrow, or maybe it's the weekend. You had a long week regardless. So let's get into our zone. Let's start to feel zen and do some meditation. You don't have to feel good to do meditation. You can do meditation regardless of how you feel because afterwards you are going to feel good and you're going to feel in the moment. So let's take about 5 minutes to do some deep breathing. We're going to breathe in, exhale. Breathe in, exhale. Breathe in, exhale, and breathe in, exhale. I'm so excited to have you here. And we have quite some things to get on into. I do want to do a bit of an energy check in on a scale of 1 to 10. How are you feeling energetically? For me, I would say I'm feeling about a 5 6 because I just recovered from some migraines. I really struggle with migraines, and I think it's because of my context. I feel like it's because I do have some lingering stress, but mostly I think it's my context and also my hormones that are changing throughout my period. I really struggle with that. So my energy kind of ebbs and flows, but I try to do my best to function even when I'm not feeling the best. So if that's you, you struggle with migraines, I totally understand that. And I want you to drop down in the chat how you're feeling. Let me know on a scale of 1 to 10, how are you feeling? Because it's important to know how are you coming in and how are we approaching this conversation because this is a conversation, it's a dialogue, it's not a lecture, it's fun, it's fresh, and this is our space to completely lay down our cares, our stress on the table and be real. Be real about what's going on and what's not going on, but we do want it to go on. So let's go on and get into that. So, just a quick win from last week. I feel pretty good about last week because I got a new role that I'm really excited about. I'm doing some work from home work with a company that hires contractors. And as somebody with a design background, I'm trying to get more CAD experience. So I really feel like I'm able to have more stability outside of growing my own business. And that's so important to me because I want to feel more independent, of course. And living the dream for me is being able to have more flexibility with my time. So having a contract role that pays me what I actually charge in my actual design studio is just amazing. And that was just a big upgrade, a big win for me last week. So let me know what your big win from last week is. Did you have a big win, or do you feel like you struggled a little bit? I always just want everybody to win. There's always at least one big win that we can have for the week. So let me know what your big win is, even if it's not too big where it's like, oh, like I'm shouting from the rooftops. I need to let everybody know, but there's still something that we did great last week. So just let me know what that is for you. And we'll be cheering on for you. I'm going to send you some love, whatever that is for you. And we're here to support, we're here to cheer each other on. So let me know what that is for you. So, oh my gosh, I didn't mean to tap my microphone. I'm still getting used to it. I put it a lot closer to my mouth because I'm still getting my audio together. So if that was some noise that came out of there, I'm sorry. It's horrible on the ears. But I do want to go into today's message because this topic is all about why high achieving women say, or why high achieving women are afraid to say no, and how we can reclaim our time back. So, how we can do that is from realizing where our time leaks are. We are going to go into that because there's a variety of different ways that we could be wasting our time, whether that's in our family, our friends, and in different situations. So that is something that, whether you realize it or not, you could be wasting your time doing things because you realize that you aren't really in control of your life because you are giving away so much responsibility to others to make you feel better. And so, jumping into that, let's get into why that is. So, why that is because many of us are doing a lot of people pleasing. People pleasing is a horrible thing that we can see ourselves falling into because we want other people to like us. We want to just have a reputation that we are somebody who's helpful. I know when I went away to college, I right off the bat, I wanted to be the person in class who was like the go-to girl who knew all the answers to everything. I wanted to seem smart, and I wanted everybody to think like, wow, Stephanie's really got it together. That's the girl. Like she's gonna be that top-notch student that has the A plus, that has the 4.0 GPA. So that was a kind of person that I wanted to be. And when I took on that responsibility, I realized that I took on a lot of friendships that I wasn't really into, and I really didn't like the kind of people that I was attracting because I feel like people could kind of notice that I wasn't confident in myself on my own, and I wanted other people to see the value that I was giving them so that I could be treated the way that I wanted to be treated rather than standing on my own 2 feet and standing 10 toes down and letting people know, like, this is who I am. I'm here to do this class. If you need help, you need help, you can ask me if you need help. But obviously, there's a professor who's going to help you. They're going to be leading this class. I'm going to just do what I need to do, take the class, do the work, go home, and just do my life, like do everything I need to do at home because this is just one of my classes. I have so much other things going on in my life. And it's not like people did go to me for that, but I feel like I kind of gave off the energy of being really open. I had a very open kind of energy where I was just overly friendly, and I would get so excited when someone would ask me a question because I used that as an opportunity to build a friendship. And I thought that that was kind of like my only chance at making strong trusted connections, whereas that person could see me as a potential friend and to see that value in me because outside of class I didn't really have that balance. I would just kind of spend all my time doing the work and trying to be a perfectionist. So in doing that people pleasing, I realized that I wasted so much time trying to be the good girl, the smart girl, and put myself in a box that I didn't necessarily have to be in. So I really think that when we do that, excuse me, it's such a hard time to get used to balancing it out and trying to find meaning outside of whatever you're doing to get that value and that satisfaction out of people. And so I really just feel like it's all about understanding who we are, the kind of people we want to attract, and why are we doing this? Like, what is the point of doing this? Is it actually bringing me fulfillment and bringing me more towards my priorities? Or is it just kind of time sucking me and it's just kind of leaking my energy out? And so that's a huge issue, people pleasing. So when we think about our friendships, that's a huge issue because a lot of us people pleasers, we could end up making friendships in the most convenient places. Maybe it's just people who kind of want to use us a little bit. So you can end up being kind of susceptible to those kind of people who just want to suck your energy out because it's convenient for them instead of actually just going there, getting the work done, not paying them any mind, and making friends doing your hobbies, whether that's like knitting, going skiing, or just doing something out and about that has nothing to do with school and that it's just something you just enjoy doing. So imagine if we actually just let go of those people and we actually spent time with the people that we aligned with. And so a lot of that comes from a lack of self confidence. We don't have the confidence in ourselves to stand on our own 2 feet. And we trust other people to see that value in us and to use that for their own selves instead of actually using that, building our own selves up, getting the benefit of that, and then just moving on to the next thing. And so when we get stuck in that kind of situation, we can't just do our own work and walk away. We have to make sure everybody else is good, make sure that they understand the assignment. Even though you already understand and you could have been on level 2, you're still on level 1, trying to help everybody, trying to hold hand everybody who just sees your potential, but they don't actually want to do the work to get there. And I think that that was a huge issue for me, especially my freshman year in college and sophomore year in college, because I didn't yet know my value. I didn't yet know the energy that I have inside of me to attract people that I wanted to be around. And I wasted so much time. I feel like I could have had way better friends if I knew my worth, and that's just a benefit that you can get if you actually understand this. Like, you will have better friends, you'll have better associates around you if you just stop wasting your time on people who are sucking the energy and life out of you. They don't even see your value. And that could be something that also happens when you're at work and when you're in situations that involve you using your expertise and you using your skill. People most of the time in that situation, they don't even care about what you're actually bringing to the table in the general sense. It could be for a bigger company. You're working for a company and they're kind of getting you to overwork and to do things that are outside of your scope, but they're not really rewarding you for doing that. They're not really making you feel like you're contributing to something and seeing the fruits of your labor. So in that situation, you kind of just have to pull back and realize, hey, I'm not going to waste my time just working, 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 and this isn't even benefiting me anymore. If it's work, you probably have to find a new job. You have to figure out a way to do something that's a little bit more fulfilling and that is on your skill level rather than repetitively doing the same thing and being just used because you're good at what you're doing instead of being elevated and being seen in a way where you are moving up the ladder and doing things that you actually want to do. So, in that, we realized that I need to start building my self confidence. Self confidence is so important. It's so important in the workplace, it's so important in friendships, and even in your own family life. Because when people see that you're confident, they're not going to waste your time. They're going to be like, like Stephanie, she knows, like Nobody could waste her time. Nobody is going to be able to get the satisfaction to know, to having that satisfaction of wasting her time. Anybody who really wants to waste her time or to stand in her way, they know she doesn't play. She doesn't play about her time. She doesn't play about her values, her mission. Nobody can get in the way of that. And so when you actually have confidence, and that means putting care into yourself, spending time in the morning, meditating, breathing, getting in touch with your own self, and knowing, how do I feel? What isn't right? What is in balance in my life? And what can I do to actually move in the direction that I want to move? And what can I do to feel like I am being valued wherever I go and I'm not being manipulated? In that situation, you start to realize that, yeah, like I know my value. People know not to waste my time. So I'm going to spend my time doing something that actually values, or doing something that I actually value. And the people that I'm working for actually value what I'm doing for them. That, my friend, is a life worth living. That is a life worth living because you feel fulfilled, you feel passionate, you feel energized by what you're doing, and you don't feel like you're wasting your life. And a lot of that happens with very low level work when you don't really have control over your advancement. You don't really know many people in the company and you're kind of stuck. I experienced that in a job recently that I worked. I quickly left after a couple months because I knew that I wasn't advancing at that job. They knew, like, we did the interview in about like maybe less than 3 days. She applied, we did the interview, she's here, she's getting her check, and she's gonna stay here. She's gonna just sit here, even if there's nothing going on. She might have just graduated, but she already has some experience, so she knows how to do the job. So we don't really have to train her anymore. We don't have to really invest into her anymore. She's just gonna do her job and just sit here. But they were wildly wrong because even though I didn't have the confidence at the time to speak up for myself and to let them know that I wasn't okay with just sitting there like a dog and just taking orders and just being like basically brushed off, I knew that I wanted to advance. I wanted to advance in the company. And I had to learn in that situation. I could say no, and I could start dictating like what I was going to do in terms of how I wanted to learn and how I wanted to actually do the training, because nobody was training me there. Everybody there was there and already had their careers. They didn't really care about advancement, so they didn't see the value in advancing in a career. But I knew in that situation I had to go because the foundation was rocky. There was no clear path for me to move forward, so I had to just find my own path. Not everybody is going to tell you the path to go on. Nobody's going to tell you that, hey, like there's no growth advancement opportunities at this job, right? You might have to find a different job, especially if you're a recent grad or you went to grad school and you're looking for a little bit more experience and more of a high level, more maybe a more senior role or mid level role. This kind of role is very entry level, and maybe even for the next 10 years, it's going to be kind of still at that same level. There's not really a place to grow here. Very rarely did I ever hear from somebody that there was no growth opportunities. I always got in a situation where it's like, well, yeah, you're here, but there's still some growth, but we'll teach you when it's time. We'll teach you. But then they kind of just throw me out there. I figure it out on my own, and then I realized that there's not really a place to grow. And I would say maybe in one situation, I did have a manager that told me that, there is some room to grow in this position, or there wasn't. It kind of depended if you wanted to go a more manager route or if you wanted to stay a designer. But as for designers, there wasn't any growth opportunity. So she did let me know about that. So I would give that to her. But in situations where you find yourself stuck, and this is the main message here, when you're stuck, you have to realize that saying no could mean saying no to an offer or a request from somebody asking you to do something, or it can mean leaving a job. It can mean saying no to yourself that I'm not going to be here for 10 years, 5, 10 years, and not grow in this role because I know that I'll find fulfillment in a role where I can grow or a role where I can succeed and I can climb that ladder if that's something I want to do, or just learn skills that will help me start my own business if that's what I want to do. And it's kind of funny because I did watch a YouTube video today about how everybody wants to be an influencer or everybody wants to post content and go viral. But it's like you don't necessarily have to be an influencer to post content. I don't know why people try to like post content about that and then kind of let people know like, hey, you're not going to be an influencer because you're not interesting. But not everybody wants to go the traditional route when it comes to posting content. It's about learning skills so that you can build a business because in today's world, it's all about just building a business that can thrive online because we're in an online economy. And I wanted to just say that because not only do I speak to women who have their career life that they want to grow in, whether that's in their corporate career or retail, but also for women who want to build their own business. Because I think a lot of times we think we can't do it. And I do want to selfishly a little bit because I love the business of, just growing and scaling. But I selfishly also want women to know that they can start their own business because you don't have to go the traditional influencer route. And if you feel that way, I want you to know that you can say no to traditional roles and say yes to entrepreneurship. And that does mean posting online because we do live in an online economy, like I said. But you don't have to feel like you are someone trying to be an influencer. You don't have to feel embarrassed about it because it's all about just gaining the skills in real life and using the online platforms to grow. And so sometimes we have to do that. We have to learn to pivot and to do things that we necessarily didn't think we would do, but maybe you found inspiration somewhere, maybe you just want to take that risk. So if that's you, I definitely recommend it because it's fulfilling and it's fun to do. And you don't necessarily have to go full time into it. And I don't think most people are going to do that or should do that because obviously you have to survive and you have to have your own income. And that's what I'm doing right now is I work from home, but I do make my own money, and that is how I help provide for my lifestyle. And I do have a partner who works full time as well, so we are both working towards our goals together. But if you are somebody who you are, single and you are a woman looking to grow your business or you maybe have some curiosity about it, don't feel like you have to completely say no and to leave your job, but you should just use your job to fund your business. So I went off track with that, but I just feel really passionate about that because I'm tired of just seeing the propaganda. And I don't know if they mean to do it, but the content saying that people can't be influencers. Okay, I get that, but it's like it doesn't mean we can't like build our businesses online and can't post content because content is not just about influencers. Like I think when we scroll, that's not the only thing we see. So I digress. I digress. And I do want to say that having a routine is very important when you are looking to reclaim your time because if you don't have a routine, then it's going to be really hard for you to get on track with what you do want to say yes to. Saying no to everything is fine, but then you're going to find yourself at a point where it's like you have to say yes. You have to start saying yes to things. Otherwise, you'll have a complete void of space. Like you're not going to know the next step. And so you do have to start saying yes to systems, to routine, and finding a routine that works for you because systems and routines are what work in corporate spaces and it's what's going to work to scale your own life as well. And so we see this in the general business sense, but we can take those aspects and to use it in our own life. And so I do want you to know that you aren't able to reclaim your time because you don't have a system for reclaiming that time. Like, for example, when you wake up in the morning, do you actually have a routine of doing what you want to do in the morning? Whether that's you want to have a slow and steady morning routine, you want to do your self care, you want to meditate, do your candles, and just have a little bit more self care time. So, I want to know, do you actually do those things? Comment down below. Like, do you actually enjoy your morning routine, your night routine, or any routine you have in your life? Do you actually enjoy that process? Or do you kind of brush over it and kind of just jump into work? And I myself am guilty of that sometimes, but you do have to realize that that is also an excellent way to reclaim your time and to gain control over your life. And when you actually have those routines in place, that is what will allow you to say no to more things because you're going to be so full of yourself and your life and things that you actually enjoy that you can say no to the people that aren't aligned with you. You can say no to the request to go out this weekend because you have a solo date for yourself to enjoy and to indulge and to get to know yourself and to enjoy the ambiance of the night and you want to just enjoy yourself. And I think a lot of times we don't do that because we have so many commitments and people are inviting us to things, but we're not able to look at our calendar, like let them know, like, hey, let me look at my calendar real quick. Let me see what's on here. Okay, I have Pilates at 7 a.m. Got a facial this weekend at 2 p.m. Yeah, girl, like, sorry, I can't really fit in, the club tonight. Like, I really can't do that. I'm sorry. Maybe ask me next week. Yeah, sorry. So, doing things like that, they're going to know that you are busy. You are booked and you are busy. Even if it's not business, you have a full Google Calendar full of activities, full of self care, full of just self improvement, and just growth activities that are going to actually move you forward and not backwards. So if you're in a situation where you feel like you don't know why you keep saying yes to these things, your life is just full of mess, full of things that you just don't want to do, maybe start filling it with some routine that you can actually keep up with. And I think that's just going to change your life. It's going to change your life when you actually have very fulfilling, very fun, I guess, routine or rituals that I would like to call that because it is a very spiritual activity of just doing activities and embellishing your lifestyle with self care, wellness, and just embracing the process of self care. It's just such a romance that you can experience with yourself, and it's exciting to be able to just indulge and to enjoy the process of your own wellness journey and learning that process of yourself. And I do wish that more people went on a journey with themselves, with their self care, with their wellness, because we wouldn't take to heart what people say when they call us selfish or when they kind of just attack us for not being our best selves or for not really showing out for them because you are on your own journey. We're all on our own journey. It's just that some of us are more focused and more in that romance of their own life. than others. Some people are just so distracted with things that just don't matter. They're distracted with other people's problems and other people's requests that they don't even care about. So if we just spent more time doing what we actually enjoyed and fulfilling our passions in that way, we would be happier as people and we would enjoy the process of our wellness journey, and we would be able to reclaim all that time that we lost doing activities and just engaging in all of those time leaks that I mentioned. So, with that being said, I do want us to jump into an interactive activity and to implement some of these strategies that I mentioned in 4 different areas of our life. And I don't know if you could read this if you're listening to audio. I'll break it down, but what I do have here is 4 areas here. I have the emotional energy leaks, professional energy leaks, social, and self sabotage energy leaks. And in these 4 buckets, I wanted us to take a time to complete an energy leak audit. So, kind of just understanding where those time leaks are happening in these 4 areas of our life. And I want you to write down 3 things that you feel like are really huge time leaks. And in this audit, we are going to just write all of those down, and I'll go through some examples for you. I do want to kind of talk about my background and why doing a time leak audit is so important for me. Like I said, in college, I wasted so much time just overthinking, laying in my bed, and feeling so stressed. I struggled with binge eating, and I really didn't know how to manage my emotions because I just felt like my life just was so out of control and I didn't know how to deal with it, honestly. And I would just lay in my bed and just be like, why don't I feel fulfilled in life? And why do I feel like I'm just so unhappy? I just don't have the right people. Everybody around me is just so toxic, and I don't like my lifestyle, like my body. I don't love my body, and I feel like I could never turn in my assignments on time because I'm just so overwhelmed with life. I'm so overwhelmed with what's happening, and there's just too much going on in my life. And I just feel like if we took more time to understand how we just waste our time in life, we would be able to understand what is in the way and what is preventing us from actually reaching our goals and from actually living a life that is wholesome, fulfilling, and healthy for us, essentially. Like, we, to the very least, like, we need to be living a healthy, balanced life, not only in our work but also in our personal life. So with that being said, in the emotional category, your examples might be, I'll list my examples, but I do want you to write down that an emotional issue that you might have regarding time is that you might be a therapist to your friends, and you might end up finding yourself as somebody who is their go-to friend where they just emotionally dump. And I've definitely been one of those people who have called friends and just, I didn't have a therapist, so I would just tell them my issues and I would just throw up on them, basically emotionally, all of my issues. And we have those friends too. And it's very common to have some friends who call you when they're feeling down, but they're not really in your corner when you actually need support, or they're not actually people who that we enjoy our times with. And obviously everybody has their own struggles and you can always be that supportive friend in the moment, but when it's a continuous issue where they're constantly calling you up and spending hours on the phone with you, imagine how much time you could be doing something that is actually a priority to you. And if you're somebody who does has have systems in place, you would be off your schedule if you just wasted 2 hours with somebody. Like, clearly, we have things to do. We have work, we have life. And also, you could be responding to immediate needs that people have. Maybe just got a call from your cousin and they want you to go to the bank and send them a few dollars, or they want you to come and help them move, but you don't necessarily have the time to do that. And emotionally, you just feel like overwhelmed, you feel like they're using you. And in that situation, it can be an emotional load on you. They need you to help them in that kind of way. And you can also just in general be involved and just completely just flooded with other people's needs, their problems. So emotionally, that can be a lot on us. That can be such a huge weight on our shoulders. So if that's you, make sure you put your 3 issues and time leaks that you potentially have under emotional. And then we have professional. Professional issues are running rampant right now. Professional issues could be meetings instead of emails. We all have meetings that are just so unnecessary. Maybe our boss wants to meet with us, but really that 30 minutes to an hour could have been a whole email. Or our coworker wants to just catch up on an issue that they have. They have some issue with some IT work that you need to help them with. They're wanting to meet with you and try to troubleshoot something that is literally something they can probably Google. So that could be something that could be an email. There's also taking on extra responsibilities at work can be an issue, because if you have your own job, everybody has their own work that they have to do. But if you're somebody who is so quick to jump on responsibilities that you don't have to do because you want to be like superwoman or something, that could be a huge issue if you have a life outside of work, because a lot of us are having our own lives out of work, and everybody has a life outside of work. So taking on those extra responsibilities and adding to items on your role that aren't even there, that can be an issue. And that rolls into going above and beyond with your role and jumping on different responsibilities. Like maybe you're a marketing agent, but you're taking on cold calls and you are calling people trying to do sales and marketing, but maybe the company is too lazy to hire people to do calls. So that could be an issue, because now you're taking on that work when you were supposed to be designing a flyer for this event that's coming up. So that could be a huge energy waster in your professional life, that you could be growing and learning skills that you actually care about. Socially, one issue and timely can be events that you feel obligated to attend. We all have events that we don't even want to go to, that maybe the cousin of your cousin's cousin has their baby's birthday party coming up, but you don't know this baby. Like, you didn't have that baby, you don't want to go to that party. And they feel like you need to go, even though you have a self care date coming up and you promised yourself that you were going to do that and you scheduled that. This restaurant that you booked at, you have to book it months in advance. So, are you really going to do that? That could be an issue. And also, family requesting items from you that you have and they need, and you feel guilty because you have to lend out your iron to your aunt that doesn't have an iron, and you don't even want to do that because why am I lending this out to you? And you live all the way in Kentucky and I live in Massachusetts. You want me to drive all the way out there? Like, girl, do you know how long this drive is going to be? I don't even know where to start with that. And then we have the fear of disappointment. We don't want to feel like we're selfish. We don't want to feel like we just don't care about people. Like, we don't want to feel like, oh, girl, you don't want to make the drive. Well, no, I don't feel like making the drive because I feel like you never come and drive and see me anyway. And I feel like that's a time waster because I'm always driving to see you. Why don't you come and drive to see me? Because I have a project that I'm working on and that's taking away, that is a 3 hour drive. I don't want to make that drive. So that can be an issue because sometimes people want you to go out of your way, but you might want to have sometimes this person needs to come and see me too. And I feel like I'm wasting my time because are they ever going to make the effort? That can be a time waster because sometimes this person might not even be in your life forever. The last category is self sabotage. In the self sabotage bucket, some examples could be overthinking. Like I said, in college, I would overthink. I would lay in my bed. I wouldn't know what step to take. I didn't have a full schedule. I didn't have actually anything on my schedule because I just didn't know where to start. I didn't have any clear values for myself. I didn't have any identity. And I also struggled with perfectionism. Perfectionism is also in the bucket of self sabotage because sometimes you don't want to release any videos. Have filmed videos before that I haven't posted because I just feel like I didn't like how my voice sounded. I didn't like the aesthetic. The aesthetic was not, it was not where I needed it to be. And I just feel like the lighting wasn't good and who's going to watch this video? And then and not to mention that video could have went viral or just kind of help get me to where I want it to be eventually, even if it took 3 years. And then we have procrastination. I struggled so much in college with procrastination because I didn't want to turn in my work because I was afraid that I was going to fail or that I just didn't want to go through the struggle of failing. I didn't want to turn in work that I wasn't proud of. And I didn't want to feel like it just wasn't going to work out. And I just was worried about my GPA. I would procrastinate because I was going on YouTube for the first time. I wasn't allowed to have a phone majority of college or the majority of high school. So in college, I watched a lot of YouTube and I just was very distracted and not really locked in on the goal. So I wasted so much time watching YouTube because I was worried about not knowing the answers to homework and to the practice quizzes that I would do. So it was just easier to waste my time on social media. So, what I want you to do is to go through these 4 buckets of time leaks: the emotional bucket, professional bucket, social, and self sabotage bucket. Add your 3 items in each bucket. What do you struggle with the most in each bucket? And then when you're done, maybe take about a minute to do this. Shouldn't take that long. I want you to circle one of those buckets that you struggle with the most. And then really think like, why do I struggle with this? Why is it so hard for me to stop procrastinating? Why do I keep self sabotaging? And why do I keep just putting myself in situations where I cannot win because these habits are horrible? Like, if I keep going down this route, I'm not going to succeed in life. And maybe it might be professional. Like, why do I keep doing these overtimes at work? Like, why do I keep going to these meetings instead of asking, can this be an email? Why am I so afraid? What if they say no? That is really the worst thing that can happen. They say no, but it's not going to make me get fired for doing that. So, what I want you to do is to really think and take some time, maybe take like another minute to think about it. So, think about which one do you struggle with the most. And then this is the powerful part. I want you to take each item in each bucket and figure out, why do I struggle with this? How do I rewrite this and turn it into a boundary that I can now set for myself so that I can stop hitting these pitfalls and to stop getting stuck in this bucket? How can I climb out of this bucket? And how can I start kind of covering up these holes and let some of the water settle so I can float to the top and just climb out of this bucket, because this is really holding me down. How can I actually set these boundaries with these coworkers, with these friends, with my family, and with myself? Because I need to change my life and I need to figure out how can I gain control over my life? How can I create boundaries? And boundaries equals peace. Boundaries equals time. Time equals luxury. And luxury, my friend, equals happiness. Happiness is being able to enjoy life instead of kind of just surviving, kind of just taking whatever is thrown at me. So take another minute for that. And then drop down in the chat what you will say no to this week. What will you say no to this week? What issue do you struggle with? And what is the easiest thing that you can say no to? Because sometimes it's a struggle to say no, it's a struggle to create boundaries. And some people, let me tell you, I know, say they don't take no for an answer, especially family. Family can be pretty difficult to deal with. I think I'm an expert at that. I think I'm an expert when it comes to setting boundaries with family. So, yeah, let me just say that. Let's not get too deep into that because we all know how our families can be. Gonna take a sip of water. I'm so thirsty. And I feel so passionate about this because once you really gain control of your life and start understanding where you're wasting your time, you will start to know how you can make your life more fulfilling and how you can actually achieve that work life harmony that you see and that you vision for yourself and that you see yourself living in. But you just kind of need to start changing and start to make some shifts in your life because it's about time. It's time to really put on your big girl pants, to start owning it, start owning your life, because nobody's going to tell you what you need to do. You need to get to know yourself. You need to understand what you're going to accept and what you're not going to accept. So, really get comfortable with that and start to sit with that and understand that you're in control, and all it takes is a rewrite. Rewrite your story, rewrite what's been written down. Now that if you can do this time leak audit activity, then you have the power to rewrite what you wrote down, to rewrite what's on that paper, and to start reclaiming it for yourself. Because once you do that, you're going to feel more powerful, more confident, and just fully responsible for your life and your time. Because what we do with our time is up to us. We can't blame it on anybody else because we agreed to their offers. And if somebody offers you something that you don't want, you can always say no. And it's your decision to make in that situation. So, with that being said, when you're starting to create these boundaries, you're starting to create some routine, I do want to invite you to the Elevated Energy Reset. In this reset, you do get access to a bundle of clean products, from protein to natural energy supplements that won't lead to a midday crash. And in 30 days, you'll start to feel that confidence. You'll start to feel like you are actually being more disciplined, not only with your self development. We have prompts that will allow you to reflect and to really understand yourself, to understand how your mind is working and what decisions you need to make in order to live a more fulfilled, balanced life. And also, on top of that, you also start to feel like your wellness, your physical wellness, is in more balance because a lot of the food we eat today is not healthy, a lot of processed foods, and just adding more clean, balanced foods is going to allow you to feel more energized, and you're going to start to clean out some of that gunk that you've been consuming. And yes, it is gunk because a lot of that is not whole foods. And honestly, whole foods can be difficult to add in. I mean, even if you can afford to cook every day, which can sometimes be a struggle, but in this case, that's not the issue. The cost is not the issue, it's the time. And with this energy reset, you'll reclaim that time through easy, simple supplements that you can add in your day, in your morning routine. You can replace your lunch with a meal replacement shake. And in this situation, you will start to realize that it's easy, it's simple, and it's just more of an elevated routine because you are caring for your wellness and you're not just jamming in food because you're hungry. You'll start to feel more fulfilled and more energized with the products. You'll have community through the group chat. You will get access to an Instagram group chat where you will receive those daily prompts. And in that, you will build community and you'll have access to a monthly group coaching call. So, in that case, if you are interested in that, let me know. Put down in the chat if you have any questions with that. And I'm so excited to just hear what you have to say on this topic. I'm so excited to have this conversation with you because, like I said, this isn't a lecture, it's a conversation. So, if at any moment you have any questions, you can drop them down below. I will answer them in the next session. I did get a question about, do I have any programs that aren't related to nutrition? Do I have any programs where you don't have to buy the wellness products? I do have one in mind, but it's not out there yet. So stay tuned because I do know that some of us do have some allergens and have some issues just consuming anything. We have to be very careful if you have allergies or any restrictions. So I am very understanding of that. So I will have a program very soon for that. And on top of that, you can always get access to one on one coaching where I will meet with you for 6 months and we'll have our weekly calls if you would like, but as often as you would like, you can meet with me on that. But standard, I would say once a week we can meet and just touch base on your wellness journey, and we'll talk through your struggles. We'll help you get get to where you want to be through starting where you are now and creating a wellness vision. And through 6 months, we can get you to where you want to be. And we'll work together on that because wellness is a journey, not a destination. So, with that being said, I do want us to spend some time to just reflect on this message and to just take a moment to think about how we felt about it. Make sure that we did this activity because this is going to create that immediate shift for you if you actually take the time to do it. And this week, I do want to ask you a question for yourself. I want you to ask yourself a question. So, if you were to change your schedule this week, what would you take away and what would you add? Because there's always something that you can take away that's really not adding to your goals and your visions, and it's just not a priority essentially. And what is something that is a high priority to you, but you're just not making the time for it? Whether that be, in your personal life or at work, that's going to give you more balance and that is going to give you that fulfillment that you need to create more harmony in your life. And I always like to give an affirmation. I do want you to know that you are loved, you are heard, and you are understood. And to know that you're not alone on your journey. I'm here with you. And I am a woman who also goes through struggles balancing my work life and my passions. And just having more fulfillment in my personal life is so important to me. Just know that you're not alone on your journey. Just reach out if you have any questions or if you need any support. All the links are down in the description. And thank you so much for watching. I hope that you have a lovely week, a lovely day, and I will see you in the next session. Take care, y'all.